hold on. You can actually see the haircut though. I can't lie to you. You can actually now see the haircut when I get a haircut, so I'm kind of happy about that. Oh yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, I don't know why that's showing my things on. Oh, that's my subscriptions. Such a nimlet. Okay. They're gonna start with what I don't want to do. I don't want to do the UCAT. I don't want to do Medify. I don't want to do it, but I'm gonna have to do it because I don't want to do it.
For the UCAT decision making, here are some tips for on the day the things that you can do to maximize your score. In the decision making, there are only 6 types of question that come up. So in that minute, while you're twiddling your thumbs, you might as well sit down and write them all out so that you can at least mentally prepare for what's about to come. And maybe if there are a couple that you are not so confident with, you might be inclined to skip them a bit more readily if they're one of your areas of weakness, and then flag them and come back. And off the bat, you might want to write on the whiteboard, maybe asterisk the ones that you think that you are more likely to skip if you should want to. So again, you can have a tally of how many skips you're allowed. In this, it's out of 29, so 19 would give you about 700, which means that you can probably skip about 5, and then assuming that you maybe get 5 incorrect, then that would give you a 700 score, which is pretty good. Decision making is typically about the middle ground for how well people do generally. So you should be aiming to do quite well on this. If you're good at it, try.
Hold on. 29. Oh no, 19 out of 29. Okay, so yeah, 19 out of 29. They have to get 17, right? So, yeah, that's pretty easy. Because you got partial marks as well.
29, so 19 would give you about 700, which means that you can probably skip about 5, and then assuming that you maybe get 5 incorrect, then that would.
I think we're gonna do a mock. We'll do a. No, I don't want to do a mock yet. Okay, sorry. Oh, I need to refresh this.
Alright, so the UCAT decision making side willing to skip, and this video is the second video of my UCAT crash course sponsored by MedEntry. In this video, a quick overview of the decision-making subtest, share my general mindset and strategy, some tips and tricks, and go through some questions myself live on camera. In the decision-making subtest, you're expected to answer 29 questions in 31 minutes. This subtest has the largest variety of question types, and some of the questions are worth 2 marks and can have these drag and drop answer options, and other questions can just be multiple choice and worth 1 mark. The whole subtest is worth 36 marks, and you have a little bit over 60 seconds to answer each question. This section of the UCAT is designed to test your ability to think critically, understand information, and finally solve problems. The first part of my general strategy for the decision-making subtest was a mindset shift, which is that not all of the questions in the decision-making subtest are made equal. Some of the decision
Bro, this guy says this every single thing.
making questions, such as the drag and drop yes or no answer question, can take a really long amount of time and can require a lot of mental effort on your part to get 100% correct. On the other hand, some of the multiple choice questions in the subtest can be relatively easy, and you can finish them in anywhere between 20 to 30 seconds. Because of that, try to develop the mindset of not completing the subtest in order and being really willing to.
Okay, so I'm just gonna look at my mark for. I haven't even done a mark actually. I haven't done a mark. Okay, we're not actually gonna do it. We're just gonna look at. Okay, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so I reckon, right, we're gonna skip. We're gonna skip all the drag and drops, and then we'll go back to them later. That's what I'm thinking of planning.
Questions that might seem really difficult. When I'm answering decision-making questions themselves, the first thing I do is I start by reading the stimulus very carefully. I try to understand the information really well, focusing on how things relate to each other within the passage or within the stimulus, so that when I look at the questions, I know where to look for certain bits of information. This is a lot like verbal reasoning, where you don't need to memorize the passage, but when you look at the answer options or the questions that you're asked, you should know exactly where to look and what steps you need to take to solve the question. Once I read through the passage, the next step I take is to read through the answer options. The reason I do this is sometimes decision-making questions can be really tricky and will have answers that are obviously the right answer that you could tell from the get-go. They can trick you to do unnecessary working out and waste time when you probably could have looked at the answer options, known that it was the right answer straight away, picked it, and moved on from the question in less than 20 seconds. Once you've read through the answer options, return back to the stimulus and the passage, and then start to do some working out, either using your noteboard or in your head, to try and work out the correct answer out of your choices. The final step is just to pick your right answer and then move on as quickly as possible. Don't ruminate on the questions and don't keep looking at it and trying to do your working out again. Moving on to my tips and tricks for the subtest, the first tip I have is to get familiar with all of the question types. The decision-making subtest has about 6 or 7 question types, and as a result, it's important to know the general strategy required for each of these different question types because they tend to be unique and have different ways of getting to the answer. When you're practicing and trying to get better as well, make sure you try and figure out which question types you tend to struggle with as a whole, rather than just thinking, okay, I'm bad at the decision-making subtest. Once you identify the specific questions that you tend to get wrong in the decision-making subtest, then spend some time looking on how you can fix the errors that you're making in that specific question type. My second tip is that when you get an answer, never second guess yourself in the decision-making subtest. I know personally of many times where I've selected the right answer and then I doubted myself and I ended up doing the working all over again just to get the same answer, and for me to waste around 30 to 40 seconds when I could have just selected the answer and moved on. Make sure you avoid this because time's of the essence in a subtest, and even if you were to catch a mistake, you could probably have earned that mark back by just doing a different question in 30 to 40 seconds instead. Within this, also make sure that you don't get stuck and spend huge amounts of time on questions that are really difficult. If, for example, you end up spending 2 to 3 minutes on a drag and drop yes no question and you got it right, then you'll get 2 marks. But in that time, you might have been able to do another 6 multiple choice questions and gotten 6 marks instead. My third tip is to make sure you use the noteboard. For a lot of question types in decision making, using the noteboard can be really helpful to draw out tables, diagrams, or orders to actually understand the questions and figure out the answer very quickly.
So if I start the mock, I just want to read it. Okay, so you actually get more than a minute per question. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna do one question. We're gonna do one question for all of them. Okay. Okay, we're gonna do one question. Right. Okay, so we're gonna do one question set for probability. Okay, so boom. A farmer is choosing between 2 varieties of tomato plant. So we got 17 times 5, 85. So V is same resistance. U, same resistance. Oh, is V better? No. Let's go, nigga, let's go. Hold on, man. I actually love jeans, bro, because just hanging them took the creases out. Hold on, Google. That wasn't something zesty, okay? Or not that zesty is wrong, but that wasn't like me. I was just trying to put on my jeans. I just saw in the photo how it looked. Okay, so the probability ones, they're like standard thingamabobs. Do I look at the question first though? what I'm wondering. Because I feel like if I read, let's read the question first. Judging only on the package which offers the higher proportion of sports and documentary. Package C, 18 out of 20. C, yes, same documentary, more sports. Wait, what? Okay, that took me a bit too long. But I think reading the question, I cut it down by 1 second, guys. By the way. Hold on. Let me look at that again. Okay, yeah, that seemed relatively easy. So I'm now just going to skip over here on the Venn diagrams. Okay, which of the following represents the data above? Hold on, what's that? Sonic licking hands and smiling. Bro, that's what I feel like right now, bro. I fucking bossed that, bro. Bossed that. Literally, just read, where's triangle? She just read it upside down. Which of one's best? Okay. Triangle represents Facebook. Okay, they want a triangle. Okay. 25 users say they have Facebook accounts. Okay, so triangle to add up 25. Boom. That one. Adds up 20. Adds up 20. Adds up 30. Boom. Average burn to 80 fucking seconds. went over time. First, Ned buys a postcard. Average person spent 2 minutes on that question. Blood, just don't do the question at that point. These logic puzzles seem to get me though. Each day was booked at a different time. Okay, I'm gonna go through my thought process. At the retirement, at the engagement, neither. So that's 2. So the graduation is 24. So this one can't be true. There are twice as many people at retirement as at the engagement. So the engagement, for it to be a double, the engagement must be 6. The engagement must be 6. Fucking hell. Fuck it up. The graduation party So we eliminate B. This means the retirement party must have 12 and the engagement party must have 6. Yes, because the retirement has double and the only one double. Let me get my phone on. My phone's in the kitchen. I need a shirt, by the way. That's why I'm going. would help, but I have a very important test on. Actually, is there anything big you need moving?
That shoe rack thing. You could bring that into the living room. That box. Oh, so you fit all in one go.
Well, when
Oh.
I said heavy, I thought it was going to be.
The lamp's attached to the bottom of it. Sorry, Boo. Sorry.
Bro, why are you saying sorry right now? The lamp just fell down the stairs. Might trip over.
Yeah.
I'll be leaving for actually no, not at like 7. I thought I had my volunteering shift today. Turns out I was a bit sneaky when I told him about my holiday. I told him I came back on the 24th because that's my UCAT test day. So I thought I don't really want to be getting up early, spending 3 hours in the Monday weeks before my test. But the thing is, I'm emailed him. I was like, oh, I can't make it on the 24th because I have my test. So I thought that's a Wednesday. I thought I worked on it. I did the shift on the Wednesday. Turns out my shifts were on Mondays. So they were a bit confused. They're like, oh, you're not even meant to be in the country before then. So why are you? I just said, yeah. I said, yeah, my bad. Thank you. I'll see you guys on the 29th. I just said that this morning because I was about to drive there. I just double checked my email and I was like, oh. Wow. Okay, so I just pooped. Bro, this question's mad. Okay. Okay, what you're saying must be true. Okay. Each table's with for different numbers. Twice as many people at the retirement party as the engagement party. Okay, for birthday party, which isn't 6. Okay, anniversary is 15, and retirement party. Okay, graduation is 24. Okay. So retirement, engagement 6, retirement is 12. So 9 goes to birthday. But we can cross out this one. Okay. Engagement and retirement, none start at 6:45 or 7. Oh, the graduation starts at 6:45. Birthday party starts earlier than the anniversary. Earlier than the anniversary. Bro, what? The birthday party starts earlier than the anniversary and the retirement.
Keep everything in your head can end up making you very tired very quickly and can also mean that you make mistakes or forget what you thought previously. With all of these tips, the general idea is that you need to save time, do the questions that are easier first rather than the ones are hard. When you're using the noteboard, try and get used to the general way that you'll have to use the noteboard for certain types of questions, and get used to how you like to interpret information and how you best come to the answer. With all of these tips and tricks, the main idea is that you need to save time and make sure you spend your time on the questions that are easy rather than the ones that are difficult. Before I move on to doing some questions on camera, I'd like to thank MetaTree for sponsoring this series. MetaTree is the UCAT preparation platform that I used when I was preparing for the UCAT, and I find that they have the questions that are most similar to the actual test. They have skills trainers, a written guide, and an extensive question bank with thousands of questions for you to use to practice, and over 20 mock exams. So sign up using the link in the description box down below to get 15% off their platinum or online subscriptions. So I've got the MetaTree decision making question bank up on the screen, and the first question type that I'll go through in this subtest are the syllogisms. The first thing that I do with syllogism questions is I read through the passage or the stimulus very The first question type that I'll go through in this subtest are the syllogisms. The first thing that I do with syllogism questions is I read through the passage or the stimulus very, very carefully and try to get as good of an understanding of it as possible. So once I've read through the stimulus, which I have done now, then I'll
All pumpkins are big, all lettuces are green. The vegetable is either lettuce or pumpkin. What? This vegetable is green. No. No. Some pumpkins are green. No. This vegetable is either big or green. Yes. All lettuces are big. No. Some lettuces are purple. No.
start to go through the questions. And what I'll do is I'll go from the question and I'll go in between the question and the stimulus to try and verify whether this thing is true, yes or no. So with this first one, this vegetable is green. They tell you that this vegetable is either a lettuce or a pumpkin. Tell you that all lettuces are green, but they don't tell you anything about whether pumpkins are green, so this is going to be no. Some pumpkins are green. There's nothing about the color of pumpkins in the stimulus, so this is going to be no. This vegetable is either big or green. So it tells you it's either big or it's green. So if it's a lettuce, it's going to be green, so yes. If it's a pumpkin, it's going to be big, so
Wait, so let me go on UCAT again. Let me look on the mock. Decision making. Yes, we're gonna go on a logic puzzle. No, we're gonna do a mock. We're gonna do a mock exam, decision making, revise. Okay, we're just gonna skip this. It's 35. 35 questions. So for decision making, are all questions worth 1 mark? Multiple statement, one mark. That's actually pretty flippin' easy, bro. What? So if I look at my decision making here, 35. So where did I run out of time? Oh, I suppose on these ones where I started to spend like a minute on all of them. To be fair, I spent a minute. If you get a minute a question, but some questions are worth 2 marks. K is older than G. What size lotus I was in North America or South America? The fossils hiatus H. Bro, what? These logic puzzles, bro, what? What is this a two? Okay, that's a hard question, bro. No wonder I spent 2 minutes on it. Like these ones. I think I need to learn.
This is going to be yes. All lettuces are big, nothing about lettuce size in this passage, so this one's going to be no. Some lettuces are purple, nothing about, so they just tell you all lettuces are green, so some lettuces cannot be purple, so this is going to be no. So this one is a fairly easy syllogism question, but you can see that it's important to go in between the question and the stimulus to make sure that you're getting these things right and that you're confirming whether a certain question is correct or not. It's important to know with these syllogism questions that these are worth 2 marks, and if you get all 5 of these answer options correct, then you'll get all 2 marks. If you get one of these wrong, then you'll only get 1 mark. If you get 2 or more of them wrong, you'll get 0 marks for the entire question. And because of that, it's really important that if you're dedicating the time to these questions, you want to get the full 2 marks for a question, because if you spend a huge amount of time and you get one of them wrong, you lose 50% of the marks for this question. So as you can see, we got that syllogism question right, and we'll move on to the next question type, which will be logic puzzles. So here you can see a very classic logic puzzle question where they give you a bunch of information and then you have to decide whether, who's coming first in the line or what the order of the line is. The first thing that I'll do with these questions is just have a read of the stimulus very carefully. This is a recurring theme in the decision-making subtest. So I've read the stimulus and I've read the question, which is, Justin fakes his height and goes 1 position forward in the line than he is supposed to. Who are the second and third members in the line respectively? The first thing that I'll do
tallest to the shortest in the back in their school clothes. Justin is smaller than Praga. Lance is shorter than Evan. Pragvesh is shorter than Evan. So Pragvesh is taller than Justin. So it goes Pragvesh, Justin, Evan. Lance is seven centimeters shorter than Evan. So I reckon it goes Lance at the back then. If Justin fakes his height and goes one position forward, who are the second and third members in the line, respectively? Justin and then Pragresh.
Now is just write in my noteboard because I want to get this information out of my head and onto paper so that I don't get too confused with the information that's given to me. So what I'll write on my noteboard here is I'll have tallest, and then I'll have shortest at one end, and this is the front of the line and the back of the line, and then I know I'll just use letters to denote the people's names. So I've got J, he's 3 centimeters taller than Pragandesh, so that's P. Lance is 7 centimeters shorter than Evan, and Pragandesh is 1 centimeter shorter than Evan. So here I'll probably have to do Evan here, and then you've got Evan, this is going to be 1 centimeter difference here. Then you have Justin is 3 centimeters shorter than Pragandesh, so this is 3, and then you know that Lance is 7 centimeters shorter than Evan, so he has to be here in the line and total. Then we've got told that if Justin fakes his height and goes one position forward, who are the second and third members in the line respectively? This is just him going one bit forward. Then it's going to be Justin and Pragandesh, and that's the answer to the question. So you can see that we got that question right, and you can see that by writing things down on your noteboard, it makes the whole question so much easier to do and easier to understand. So the next question type you see here are these interpreting data questions. These ones are slightly different from the syllogisms because they can have data like graphs or tables, and they also tend to have more statistics or things like.
We're gonna quickly bang this one out. It's been said that most people suffer from heart ailments. Oh no! Experts suggest a physical exercise for at least half an hour a day considerably reduces the rate of heart disease. According to the survey, no, it's just not said. Most people, no. Heart disease is no. Physical exercise is how day is how people physical activity in their day to work. Yeah, having physical proper health activities. People having no.
That you need to confirm with the stimulus. Here, the strategy that I use is very similar to the syllogisms, that I read the stimulus and then I try to get my answers to each of these questions by looking between the question and the stimulus. So here, now I've read the stimulus and I see the first question. According to the survey, more than 50% of the people who do desk-bound jobs suffer from heart ailments. They tell you that most people who do desk-bound jobs suffer from heart ailments. You do know that most means more than 50%, so this is going to be yes. Then you see most people who do desk-bound jobs lack proper exercise. Here, you don't necessarily know anything and know because, and as you can see, we got all of those questions right. And we'll move on to the next question type, which will be the strongest argument. So the strongest argument of those questions are really, really easy to get the correct answer to these. Different to the normal.
Okay. Should social media apps be allowed to receive your personal information for the benefit of social media companies? Yes. If they know. Okay. Is this like yes? No. No. No.
question types you get in decision making, but they're also quite good because they take a very little amount of time to complete. The first thing that I do with these strongest argument question types is I just read the answer, the stimulus, really carefully, and I try to identify what issues are present in the stimulus. So here they say, should social media apps be allowed to receive your personal information for the benefit of social media companies? So here the big key issues are social media apps, personal information, and social media companies. So now I know that a strongest argument has to relate to all three of these elements, or at least mention them and be somewhat relevant to these issues in the scenario. So we'll look at answer option A. Yes, advertisement companies will be more likely to pay to place their advertisement on social media. They know they can target special interest groups, increase revenue for social media companies. So since this is about the benefit of social media companies, this means that A does actually respond to all of these aspects of the question. So I am agreeing with A at the moment. B, yes, private investigators may then be able to identify individuals, so it has nothing to do with social media companies, so it's not going to be B. C, no, social media companies prefer to respect the privacy of their users. This doesn't have anything to do with the benefit, so the answer is the next question type, which is Venn diagrams. So the Venn diagram questions can be quite overwhelming because there's often a lot of numbers on the page and a lot of these odd squares and
There are more students using Bibu, oh my lord, than MySpace. MySpace is that triangle thing. No, not true. There are more students only using Friendster, 45, than a total number of students only using 120, 41, false. There are fewer students using both WeChat and Bibu. Okay, I'm skipping that. There are fewer students that use 3 social media accounts than there are students who use 4 social media accounts. Okay, I'm gonna go back to C because that flipping got me. Using WeChat is the square, okay, and Bibu, which is the X. Five. Oh my god, I'm gonna add them. So you got 5, 5, 9, 12, 39, 50. Then there are students using MySpace. Absolute cap. It's
intersections between the Venn and little WeChat and WeChat is the square, and we see that of their amount then and intersections between the Venn diagrams. The thing that I recommend here is to just go through the questions and try to eliminate answers or confirm them. So what I do here is I don't actually look at the Venn diagram and try to understand it. The first thing I do is I look at the answer options and I try to confirm whether these things are true. So here I see A, there are more students using Bebo than there are students using MySpace. So here I want to look at, okay, what is Bebo on the legend? It's the cross. And what is MySpace on the legend? It's the triangle. So then I know that I need to add up all of these numbers to figure out which one has a greater amount of people in it. Here, a little trick that I can use is since I know that these two spaces interact, so Bebo and MySpace, I can actually just count the things that are outside of the intersection to decide which one has more people using it. So I know with MySpace it's going to be 1 plus 42 plus 13, so that's going to be around 56. With Bebo, I know it's going to be 19 plus 11 plus 5, which is going to be less. So A is not true. So B, there are more students using only Friendster than the total number of students using only one of any.
Trick, bro. It's just how Venn diagrams work. Actually, I'm not even gonna diss this guy because he's probably gonna get a higher score than I can ever dream of.
The social media. This one I might think to myself, okay, this seems like something that's hard to figure out, so I might actually skip over this question and look at C instead.
That was pretty easy, actually.
See, there are fewer students using both WeChat and Bebo than there are students that uses MySpace. So here I'll see both WeChat and Bebo. So we've got Bebo is the cross and WeChat is the square. And we see that this is going to be 27 plus 3 plus 4, which is going to be 34. So here you can see that
No.
B was actually really good because
Using both WeChat, which is this square, and Bieber, which is the cross. So you've got to add up all of these.
I saved a lot of time from doing this and I got to 6.
which is 11.
which was much easier to work out, and C was the correct answer. Also, just quickly, remember that you don't have to do this maths all in your head. You can press Alt plus C to bring.
No, that's wrong. That's wrong. Oh wait, no, I agree that it was right actually, didn't I? Yeah, because I counted 5, 9, 12, 39, 50. Yeah, I don't know.
The on-screen calculator, and you can just like type in these numbers onto the calculator in itself. You don't have to do that maths in your head. We got that question correct, which is great. So now we move on to the last question type in this subtest, which are the maths and probability questions. So what you see on screen here are
Why did I don't even know.
classic probability type questions that you get in decision making. What you see here is that there are these 4 statements, and each of them have like this probability of someone getting a better deal in this chess game. So you have Mikhail's chess plan deciding on which strategy to use, Queen's Gambit or Rui Lopez. You see, if he uses Queen's Gambit, there's a 35% chance that he'll play true defensively. If he uses the Rui Lopez,
Considering the only chance that Mikhail does not play too defensively, consider only the chance does not play too defensively, and the chance he will gain uses Queen's Gambit, there's a 35% chance. If he uses Roy Lopez, 6 times 5 is 30. Queen's Gambit, yes. No. No. Considering only the chance he does not play too defensively, so he skipped this.
6 in 20 chance he'll play true defensively. And then he has a 30% chance of not gaining a stable position if he uses the Rui Lopez, and he has a 70% chance of gaining a stable position if he uses the Queen's Gambit. So with these, what you need to realize is that the majority of these questions will have true probabilities that are exactly the same. So in this question, what you see is that if he uses the Queen's Gambit, the stable position probability is the same. So he has the same chance of gaining a stable position if he uses the Queen Gambit and if he uses Rui Lopez. So now you have a look at the answer options and you see what is the answer that the question actually asking you. See, considering only the chance that Mikhail does not play true defensively and that the chance that he'll gain a stable position is Queen's Gambit the better strategy. So now you know that with the Queen's Gambit, the chance of gaining a stable position is the same regardless of which strategy he uses. The only thing that matters is if he plays true defensive or not, which is a bad thing.
Okay, no.
Here, what you need to do is now you need to convert the Rui Lopez into a proper percentage, and 6 in 20 I know is going to be 3 in 10, which is 30%. So if he uses the Rui Lopez, there's a lower chance that he will play true defensively, which means that the Queen's Gambit is not the better strategy. So he has a reduced likelihood of playing true defensively with the Rui Lopez, and that's how you do these probability questions. Note, the trick is just understanding that two of these probabilities are probably going to be the same.
I don't understand this point though. Only consider only the chance that Mikhail does not play. If you consider the chance that he does not play too defensively, then you just ignore.
And the only other skill you need really is to convert one.
Oh. And that he will gain a stable position. So we need to ignore this, and then we just go into
these probabilities into the same thing so that you can actually compare them really easily. There you go, you can see that we got all of those question types correct, and I hope now that you have a good understanding of just the difference.
okay. Practice questions. Anyway, once we do this, yeah, situational judgment. I'm gonna. I don't really care about that. I can't lie. I reckon I'll be fine. I say. I say. Okay. Decision making. Okay. Six. Which of the following must be true? Six international transects that are held in six different cities. The conference topics. The cities are okay. The port. The port services is in Mistan or Istanbul. The air freight conference is in Rome. The shipping and okay. The trucking and mass transit conferences aren't in Geneva. Okay. Oh, Istanbul or also. Okay. The conference in Munich occurs just before the. What the fuck? Oh, okay. So what I had to do was that port services is in M or I. Shipping and logistics is not an MP. It's not an MP. Trucking and mass are in GIO. And the conference in Munich. That did not help at all. Okay. Trucking is in Paris. Possibility. Port service is in Munich. Possibility. Shipping is in Istanbul. Possibility. Logistics is in all my days. Rome wasn't even mentioned. Oh, the air freight is in Rome. That doesn't help. That just eliminates one. For trucking and mass transit, the conference in Munich. Okay. So shipping is in Istanbul. That's what I've got. I spent 5 minutes on the question and got it wrong. Bro, what? I'm not even gonna bother to attempt these questions, bro. They're all hard. Every single one of those are so hard. Decision making. Let me look this up on YouTube. Decision making logic puzzles. Because that's killing me. That is killing me, bro.
Hi there, welcome to this decision making tutorial on logic puzzles. Now this is actually the second of two tutorials, so make sure you check out the first one, which is talking about golden clue, follow through, and stated fact first, before we go into this method, which is sort of our backup method if those ones don't work. So the thing we're going to do in this tutorial is look at the filling method, which as I said is a method that we can use with logic puzzles, it's just often not the fastest. So if we can use the skills in the previous tutorial, we will. We're also going to look at handling some of the more complex logic puzzles, which come with a whole bunch of variables and how we can break those ones down. Now with any logic puzzle question that you get placed in front of you, you've always got to check, is there a golden clue? Is there a way for me to follow this through? Is there some sort of stated fact here?
I'm sorry, I'm just. I don't mean to be rude or anything, but why are they so yellow? Like golden nugget yellow. Why? I'm genuinely curious why.
If we don't have any of that, then we can start using a filling method, which is where we're going to draw a table out and basically just pop all the information into it. It's preferable to use other methods, as you can get the answer a lot quicker, sometimes only 2 steps. So before you actually jump in and try a logic puzzle, step back and ask yourself, can I do this any easier than I'm about to try? Spoiler alert, these ones you're not able to do it that easy. So if you would like to give this one a go yourself before we talk through the answer, pause the video now and give it a whirl. If not, stay right here, I'm going to go through the answer.
Okay. Two teams with red and blue players. Okay, this is nothing like the actual test. Adrian wore yellow boots. Different colored boots, different colored socks. One of them was wearing red boots. Okay. Adrian wore yellow boots, so A could be right. B is wrong. Okay, hold on. B is wrong. Sergio wore red boots. The person wearing red socks wore blue boots. C. Because Shivan wore green socks. Okay, I'll just guess C that fast. We're gonna see my explanation. I kind of because if Shivan worn green socks, if Shivan worn green, he could have yellow, red, or blue. But the person wearing red socks wore blue. So Shivan can't wear blue.
So with this one I have quite a lot of text at the beginning, but reading through it I see that first paragraph is just sort of telling me the names of the 4 boys, the colours of their boots and the colours of those, and boots colour. Those are going to be my 2 important things to start off with. I'm going to want a third column which is going to be the name of the boy. So I've got Aaron, Adrian, and again just have as so yeah, green boots and Adrian wore blue socks. So now we can just go through our statements one by one and eliminate them if they don't follow with our table here. So Adrian wore red socks, well no. Aaron wore red socks, Adrian wore blue. Sergio wore yellow boots, no, he wore green boots. Siobhan did not wear blue boots, yes that's true. Aaron was wearing blue boots. And Sergio wore red boots, again, doesn't really make sense here. So based on the information we've got, the answer is C. Seems to be a little table to fill out, a lot of information to put in it, but works usually just one by one and put all the information you can down into that table. So one of the first things you should do with this sort of question is actually work out how big your table is meant to be. So look through your variables first, work out how much information is going to go into that table, namely what the headings of that table. Get all of that down and then just start filling it in. So we've got another type of question here, slightly more difficult one this time. So again, if you want to have a go of it, pause the video now.
Jack and two friends each own a car. They all study different subjects. And maths junior is a Mr. are a member of the car. Ollie does not own a cargo. Okay. Okay, so Matthew no cargo. No medicine. Ollie doesn't want to study maths and does not have a must to. Okay, so we know it's not medicine. A maths, a geography. I'm gonna just say cannot
And give it a whirl, if not, stay right here. So here I have three friends and I've got a car and a subject each. So let's just pop that in. So I've got a car and a subject. And my three friends, so I can see I've got three names mentioned throughout. I've got Paul, Jack, and Matthew. There we go, let's pop all of that into a little table here. And let's just start filling in the information that we have going for us. So starting off, Paul doesn't own a cargo. That's still important for us to know. So I'm just going to basically write in cargo, or C, but put a line through it so I know that he doesn't have that. Jack doesn't own a hoodoo, so similar, I'm just going to put H, put a line through it. The medical student, who also doesn't own a cargo, is best friends with Matthew, one of the three friends. So that means Matthew can't be a med student, because much as we want to be friends with us, we can. So we're going to say Matthew cannot be a med student. Now I've got med and maths, I'm just going to write med here. And we know that the med student doesn't own a cargo, but we don't know whether that's all or Jack yet, so we can't put anything else in yet. So all doesn't study maths, so let's pop that in as well. So we're just going to write maths, pop that, and also does not have.
Where does it say that? Oh.
So if we do M line through, so that means that he must own a hoodoo. So that we can put H in there. So the geography student has a hoodoo, so therefore we know that all must be a geography student. And if we know that Matthew isn't a med student, that means Jack must be a med student, so med in there. And then we can fill in the last subject, maths. And as you see from our question, we're wanting what subject does Matthew study. So the answer is going to be maths. We could try and attempt to fill the rest of our table. There's literally no point in doing that. We've already got our answer. The answer here is going to be C, maths. So very well done if you did manage to get that one. Now, we found that about 2/3 of the exam, so roughly about question 20 is the benchmark, there will be an incredibly difficult logic puzzle. Don't worry if you can't solve this, it's better to not waste so much time in it, as logic puzzles are still going to be worth 1 mark in decision making, in comparison to some of the other questions which are going to be double weighted as 2 marks. So don't worry if you can't solve it, it's better to flag and come back if it seems too complicated. And speaking of complicated questions, let's throw in at you just now. So this is
There are 5 runners competing in a marathon. You go for a health check. Okay, there's only one heart rate, has a heart rate which is 2 more. There's only one heart rate which is 2 more. So one person's blood is 85, has a heart rate 2 more than Jing, has 75. Jing has 73. Farah weighs 63 kg and has the third highest heart rate, which is 70. Zolt has a heart rate 10 more. Not possible. Oh, has a blood pressure 10 more. So Zolt has 67 for their blood pressure. Jiran. No, his is 77. So Jiran is 67. Jiran is 67. The person who has the third highest diastolic pressure, 85, has the highest heart rate, which is 75. But yeah, we already got that written down, doesn't really help. And a weight that is lower than Farah, which is 63, makes him 50. Safu is the only person that's not mentioned, so Safu's weight is 50.
It's going to have lots and lots of variables in it. There may be a sneaky golden clue or safety fact in there if you want to have a look for it, but mainly, try to have a go of this one, and don't worry too much about time for this now, worry about your methodology mainly. So pause the video now and give it a go. So this one is incredibly complex, and we're going to have quite a big table going on with so many variables. So our three variables on top is going to be height, weight, and diastolic blood pressure. Result has, so we want the person who has the third highest of that chance, it'll make it much easier to deal with. Secondly, make sure that you understand what your data looks like in terms of what sort of table you're going to be drawing. Next, focus on what you're actually being asked and stop when you've reached that stage.
I actually banged that out, you know. I actually did a fantastic job, you know. I'm actually pretty gassed about that,